The Barricades Gun Factory. On July 17, 1913, Tsar Nicholas II approved a contract with the Russian Joint Stock Company of Artillery Plants for the construction of a private plant to produce large-caliber naval and coastal artillery in the city of Tsaritsyn, the original name of Stalingrad. Accordingly, the Tsaritsyn Gun Factory was founded on June 27, 1914. It was built by a concession agreement with the British company Vickers Limited. But the outbreak of the First World War and the revolution that followed pushed back the deadline for the completion of the factory. As a result, in the first decade of its existence, the plant only carried out repairs to military equipment. Its story as the creator and producer of unique weapons began in the 30s and was to include many glorious pages in its history. Earlier, in the 1920s, it was renamed the Stalingrad Barricades machine building plant. Then in the 1930s, the plant began to produce various artillery gun models, including the super heavy howitzers of the BR series. Since the beginning of the Great Patriotic War, the city of Stalingrad joined the ranks of the defenders of the motherland, owing to its contribution to the war effort. From August 1941 to August 1942, when the fighting reached the city, the Barricades factory worked around the clock, producing the widely used 76mm divisional guns and 120mm regimental mortars, as well as more specific weapons, such as the 152mm railway artillery system. Ilya Ivanov, hero of socialist labour and twice winner of the Stalin Prize, was chief designer of the plant in these critical years. The plant intensified the production of artillery up to 1,000 guns per month, but with the advance of the German troops to Stalingrad, its machine tools and other transportable installations were evacuated to Siberia, far beyond the Ural Mountains. Working in the new location after the evacuation, 1942-1943, its engineers participated in the development of a new gun for the T-34 tank, thanks to which the famous 34 gained fame as the best tank of its kind in World War II. The Barricades factory, which was mostly empty buildings, is where most of the fighting was concentrated in Stalingrad during the second half of October 1942, whereas all other areas in the city were relatively quiet at this time. Then, on November 11, what was left of Colonel Lyudnikov's 138th Rifle Division was encircled between the factory and the Volga. A few hundred Soviet soldiers, with their backs to the river, almost without supplies, resisted all German assaults. This 500-metre strip of land was known all around the Soviet Union as Lyudnikov's Island. After the Battle of Stalingrad, the Barricades Factory began producing 122mm guns for the IS-2 tank. After the war, on January 28, 1950, by order of the Minister of Armaments, a special design office was created at the plant, the SKB 221, which afterwards became the Federal Research and Production Centre Titan Barricades. It was tasked with the design and development of large sea and land artillery systems. Following this, the company led research and production of its own. In the late 1950s, it produced launchers and other ground-based equipment for the first missile systems, Mars and Luna. From 1966 to 1977, it specialized in mobile strategic ground complexes for guided missiles, the Tochka tactical missiles and the self-propelled gun Pion. From 1978 to 1983, it developed the ground-based units of the medium-range missile complex Pioneer. Mobile launchers of the Oka tactical missile and 152mm guns for self-propelled howitzers Acacia. The plant also produced civilian products, drilling rigs, equipment for metallurgical enterprises, energy industry systems, etc. From 1983 to 1991, the production switched to the ground-based units of the Topol strategic missile system and the 152mm artillery armament MSTAS and other high-technology equipment. After the collapse of the USSR, it continued to specialize in military equipment. From 1991 to 2014, it produced the missile systems Iskander-M, Topol-M, Yars, Bulava and AK-222 Bedeg mobile coastal defense artillery. The factory also produced civil equipment, such as the self-propelled launcher module for civil fireworks, as well as complexes for launching commercial satellites, Start-1, and also an automated process control system for hydroelectric complexes, trusses and spans for bridge construction, including the one in Volgograd, fountain fittings, mechanized wastewater treatment units, and so on. Thus, the Barricades gun factory has an even longer and maybe even richer history than its sister, the tractor factory, and it can be no less proud of its heroic past as a bastion in the defense of Stalingrad.